We've got round number 7 ready for you. Cedric and Paul are in the booth, ready to take it away here at Pro Tour, The Lord of the Rings.
Thank you, Maria, and thank you, Mani. Cedric, Phillips, Paul, Chion, we are here in the booth from beautiful Barcelona. Let us talk to you about a little modern action. Tron, Yawgmoth, apparently. Yawgmoth can't lose this matchup? I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, it's a little interesting because traditionally you kind of look at creature-based kind of mid-rangey decks. Typically doesn't do well against Tron, but you add that combo element, kind of turns things around.
Zihao, we've had the opportunity to watch a little bit earlier in the day. Put on an impressive display when you and I have the opportunity. Now, Zach Kiihne, we haven't had the opportunity, you and I, to watch him just yet this weekend, but I did have the chance to talk to Zach a little bit earlier, and I asked what he was playing and why, and he said, I'm playing Tron because it's easy. Well, given the record, tough to argue. Game number 1 of round number 7 is now in front of us. We will see Zihao begin things off with a Delighted Halfling for Zachary on a mulligan to 6 cards, but you can already see that Tron is an option, starting with 1 Tron piece, an Expedition map, and having a second one, I believe, to complete things after sacrificing the map for the 3rd one.
Yeah, but the thing about the Tron deck is it's one of the decks that's best at mulliganing because you really only need 3 cards, right?
Yep.
You just need the way to get the Tron lands, you just need Tron on turn 3, and just if you can untap and resolve any of your heavy hitters, that's usually good enough.
The rest will generally sort itself out. Now, Paul, in this matchup, these two players are kind of just 2 ships passing in the night, right? You got Golgari Yawgmoth that's going to do its thing with a little bit of mana acceleration and try to assemble the combo. And, of course, for Mono Green Tron, it's trying to assemble its lands and then play something extremely powerful. Are there ways here for Tron to interact with Yawgmoth?
So, typically, no. Typically, most versions don't play too many answers to deal with Yawgmoth, but Kiihne's team playing a little more interaction, playing actually 3 copies of Dismember in the main deck that allows you to kill that Yawgmoth. Of course, there's also cards like Oblivion Stone, which is fantastic in the matchup.
Yep.
If you're at a high enough life total, then you can basically blow up everything other than the persist creatures that you can play. But if you're on Zihao's side, typically not a lot of ways to interact with Tron, but he is playing 2 copies of Boseiju in the main.
Okay, and that is a card that, of course, can blow up a Tron land, allow Kiihne to search for a basic forest, but keeping Kiihne off of the very powerful 7-mana trio. You did see a Warping Whale take care of the Delighted Halfling, so that is also another way to see Kiihne interact with the Yawgmoth deck. We're seeing a Grist activation
And
here.
look at this, hit a Grist here. So did hit an insect.
It did.
Got an extra token out of the deal.
We don't see that a ton, but we do see it here in round number 7. It'll be a Young Wolf after that. And we'll see if perhaps Zihao is going to leave up something like perhaps a Court of Calling. So we're going to head back Kiihne's way, who does have the Tron already. Looks like a mine and a power plant, and there's the Tower of Power.
Both decks doing their thing.
So there will be a colorless mana floating. Going to use that colorless mana and turn it into a green. New card coming here for Kiihne.
All right.
That'll be a chromatic. That'll be a chromatic star. You see the hand here for Kiihne: a star, a sphere, a map, and a relic of Progenitus.
So basically, just ways to continue cycling through the deck. We saw Christian Calcano do this with Tron. Just needs to find something here to do now that he has 7 mana available to him.
So no mana floating anymore. There will be 2 colorless and a green floating here for Kiihne. Remember, Kiihne's already played his land for the turn. New card coming here for Zach. There might be a response now, and it looks like Zihao says that's fine. So it's very clear that Zihao either has a Court of Calling or is acting as though he has a Court of Calling.
So mine still has a star here and a relic. A relic is a way to try to break up the combo, if that's a thing.
It is,
but
in my estimation, not terribly effective.
Not especially great here.
Yeah. And Kiihne, again, still does have that 2 colors and a green floating here, and now just trying to figure out exactly what to do with it. This will be a star, so now there'll be 1 colorless and 1 green mana floating.
Yeah, and I mean, Zihao has double Court of Calling here, right? So you can go Court of Calling into Court of Calling, right, and get Yawgmoth plus another persist creature, and go off with the Yawgmoth, right?
So here's a relic and a map, and so that's going to be possible. Now, the smart thing that Kiihne has done here is he's left up mana to be able to activate the relic's sacrifice to exile itself and all of the graveyard. So we're going to see if Zihao has a way to work around this, which, given the record, I wouldn't be surprised if Zhihao's had to work around an active relic Progenitus at some point in this tournament. Now, we mentioned the Court of Calling. It's going to be played here right now for 2.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen Zihao play some pretty impressive Magic with this deck in a previous round, utilizing every single ability that Yawgmoth has available to.
That's right.
Not super often are you actually using the proliferate mode, because oftentimes you're just using Yawgmoth to combo off, draw a bunch of cards.
Yeah, but it's not nothing.
It is definitely relevant.
So now if you count the 5 creatures in the battlefield plus the 2 lands that are on the battlefield as well, that's actually going to be 7 mana for a Court of Calling. And of course it does cost GGGX, so that is enough mana to search for a Yawgmoth if Zihao so chooses to do so. Going to kick things off with...
Also as a land, can also make a token, right? So here we go. This is going to be Court for 4.
And it does look like it's going to be Court for 4 here. The Blooming Marsh was the land, of course, and now the creatures are already being tapped. So Kiihne has one real option here in any meaningful way, which is a Relic of Progenitus activation.
That is his only form of interaction here, but Zihao's going to draw a ton of cards here.
So this will be Yawgmoth, Thran Physician. And this one, if you're not used to seeing it, I think you better start, because it is one of Modern's, most powerful cards. And we're going to see it in action right now. So how does Zihao want to work through the Relic is the question.
Right. So Zach can, if Zach starts things off by trying to get one of the persist creatures into the graveyard, Zach could respond when it's in the graveyard with a Relic activation.
With no target. And this is
So-
Undying is on stack.
Yeah, so the Undying trigger is on the stack, and Zach is
Right.
going to stop him there.
This
too.
is the
So
only thing Zach can do.
that is correct. So
Right.
so now the Strangleroot Geist is going to bite the dust. That's gone for good. Okay, so there's your response. There is a mana floating in case he were to draw a Dismember. He did not.
Right.
Obviously, Zihao doesn't know that. So effectively, Zach is passing priority here and saying,
Yeah.
I don't have anything. Again,
Right.
he could be bluffing a Dismember, but I don't think Zihao's going to play around that.
Right.
There's going to be a mill there of Grist to make a 1/1 insect. And now, effectively, Zihao can do whatever Zihao would like to do, which is attack here for 1 point of damage. And just going to pass the turn back.
So now can draw a bunch of cards here if he so chooses. But this gives Zach a turn here to find something.
Well, I think Zach did, well, sort of.
Yeah. So the One Ring, previous versions of Golgari Yawgmoth used to play Blood Artist. But now most decks have made the switch to Zulaport Cutthroat,
Correct.
which actually is a way to kill your opponent through the One Ring.
Let's see
Zach
what
search
Zihao
up.
is going. You're going to see Zach search up a copy of Urza Saga with the Expedition map here and play that for the turn. Is it a Blood Artist or is it Cutthroat here?
It is a Zulaport Cutthroat. So Zihao does have the ability to kill Zach with the combo if he can find it. And given the fact that he's got lots of draws here with this Yawgmoth and all those tokens in play, you got to be thinking he's a pretty good favorite here to find it.
Now, that would be my assumption here. There should be a great turn for Zihao. Might be the last turn of this particular
Right.
game, as Zihao's going to draw a card now, too. Don't forget, we do have a Grist activation available.
And there's a Strangleroot Geist. So Zihao can draw up to 14 cards here, given that he's at 15 life, and just needs to find either a Court of Calling to find that Zulaport Cutthroat,
If you want to continue playing, you're able
And
to
there is
Or-
that Strangleroot, guys.
or just naturally draw it.
Yep.
thank you.
All right.
So we're going to see a Yawgmoth activation. I'm going to explain this to you here in just a moment. Going to put a -1/-1 counter there.
On the Young Wolf.
Yep.
Removes the +1/+1 counter. The +1/+1 and -1/-1 counter negates each other. Strangleroot Geist will enter play with the +1/+1 counter, but now you can sacrifice the Young Wolf and target the Strangleroot Geist, and you've created this loop.
Yes, indeed. And the first draw step there was a Court of
Court
Calling.
of Calling, and that should get it done here.
And here is the chord for the Cutthroats. And now you just kind of loop that. And of course, the Cutthroat, when it's on the battlefield, means that the life that you would lose from Yawgmoth, well, you actually gain that life.
Right.
And your opponent's losing the life.
And you just do that an infinite number of times, and that's Zach Kiihne's life total.
And that is game number 1 in the books, going over to Yawgmoth in the hands of Zihao Ji. So now we take a look at game number 2. And you see Kiihne here with a classic Tron start of a Tron piece and a chromatic piece. This one's going to be chromatic sphere as we head back over to Zihao. And that'll be a Haywire Mite card that's pretty popular here this weekend, Paul.
Yeah, so it's already kind of a nice card to search for just because you can deal with opposing hate cards. But in this format, One Ring is a really difficult permanent to deal with. But Haywire Mite actually has an exile clause and not a destroy clause, which allows you to bypass the indestructible text on the One Ring.
And Ancient Stirrings via the Chromatic Star providing, Chromatic Sphere providing green mana is going to yield in Urza's Tower. And we head back over Zihao's way. We know about the Blooming Marsh and the Haywire Mite. What we didn't know is the cards in hand. Verdant Catacombs, Court of Calling, make it 2 of them. A Bow Mite. Bow Masters. Almost.
Again.
Almost. Boseiju Who Endures and an Overgrown Tomb.
So
Here comes the Haywire Mite for 1.
Kiihne does need to find Tron, doesn't have a way to actually search for the Urza's Mine. Oh, and is getting Boseiju here.
Yeah, I presume this is going to be a draw step Boseiju. So after Kiihne does draw, the tower is going to get blown up.
Going to get a forest here, but that'll certainly slow Zach Kiihne down. Looks like he found an expedition map there too.
Yeah, he did. Now, again, this Tron deck is very redundant in finding the Tron pieces.
Right.
Of course, that is why the deck is so powerful and why so many people are playing it this weekend. Its consistency is pretty impressive.
But, you know, Kiihne's hand got a bunch of just good 4-drops in his hand, so it doesn't necessarily need Tron right now. You can just go fetch for a Tron land, play One Ring, and use that, perhaps, to find Tron.
And unlike in the last game that we saw, where Zihao was able to very quickly assemble Yawgmoth plus other pieces, this one a little bit slower out of the gate.
Yeah, and excuse me, given that Haywire Mite is in play, might see a Karn get played first, which actually nullifies the ability of the Haywire Mite.
Sure.
And then you follow that up with the One Ring.
Kiihne going to search for a second Urza's Tower here. First one, of course, in the graveyard via the Boseiju. So getting one step closer to assembling the Tron is Zachary Kiihne. Remember, he is an accomplished player in this tournament. Not only 6-0, but a couple of top 8s on the resume as well.
Yeah. Actually just had a phenomenal year last year with multiple top 8s. Okay. So yeah, with the Haywire Mite on the board, One Ring is probably not something that you want to run out. Okay, well he's got the backup, I guess.
Well, you know, it looks like just I can play the One Ring here because I have another one if I'm Zachary, right? And it also forces your hand to spend some mana doing that potentially. Now you are going to see in response a card we're seeing a ton of here this weekend in the Bowmasters.
Okay, just trying to fight through it here.
And Kiihne not even going to activate the One Ring. So very interesting play here.
Going to wait here. Oh, yep, that's heads up. In response to the fetch, so that you can't activate the Haywire Mite.
Bowmaster, of course, will trigger. Some damage to be dealt, and the Orc that has been amassed will become a little bit larger, but Kiihne does get a new card. Again, as things currently stand, Zachary is a Tron piece away from going from 4 mana to 9 mana.
Right. Needs to find it here. Won't get additional draws, most likely, given that the Haywire Mite is in play.
But as you take a look at our card reader there on the left-hand side, you can see that Zachary does actually, in one way, have Tron already rolled up with the Sylvan Scrying in hand. Now, a natural draw of Tron, I think, would be a little bit more powerful, but still has the ability to find it.
Right. Yeah, because if you go with the Sylvan Scrying here, will be 1 mana short of playing the O-Stone and cracking it on the same turn.
So Dryad Arbor was a selection there off of the Verdant Catacombs.
Okay. Just trying to get aggressive. Of course, can't get in this turn, as Kiihne did play the One Ring, has protection from everything.
Yep. So no damage is going to be dealt because of the One Ring protection. But what Zihao is doing a nice job of is the same thing you saw in the first game, which is just building a wide battlefield, making the Court of Callings, plural, once again, much better.
Yeah. Zihao with multiple Court of Callings here, but doesn't really have all the pieces to combo up just yet.
Zihao's going to sacrifice another Verdant Catacombs. He's going to dig through the deck here for a basic forest. And I'm curious if we're going to see a quarter calling right now, and if we are, what it would be for. Of course, the ability to chord for up to 4 at the moment. Yawgmoth's the easy selection,
Right, of
but there could
course.
be something different here.
Yeah. I was looking to see if there was a Phyrexian Metamorph or something.
Sure, yeah,
Like
something
copy the
spicy.
One Ring.
Yeah, okay. All right, I like what you're thinking.
But he doesn't have it.
Oh, well, okay. Well, ruin our fun then, won't you? You'll also notice that Zihao last game had to search for the Zulaport Cutthroat. This game already has it. So
Right.
is there a way to go off right away this turn, even through the protection? So you're going to see 4 mana. Well, not just
Well, you're
yet.
going to need a Yawgmoth plus an Undying Creature.
Yeah.
Right?
So here's the Cutthroat,
Okay.
potentially. Yep, I mean, unwinding a little bit.
He's
Okay,
like,
so-
all right, let's just get this off the board.
Going to make this turn a little bit different. This is the Haywire Might interaction that you were speaking
Right.
of with the One Ring. I'm just
That-
going to pass the turn back.
Okay, so now has a chord for 2 potentially. I don't know how many Haywire Mites Zihao has. Did he have 1 main by any chance? Doesn't look like it. It's just the 1 Haywire Mite in the board, so can't get a second one for the potential second One Ring that Kiihne might run out, but we have Tron.
Yep. The question is it too little too late, which is a crazy thing to say about something that generates 7 mana, but it very well may be the case. As Kiihne's going to dig through the deck, going to find a copy of Urza's Mine to get the 7 mana engine online. But it is entirely possible that Kiihne does die next turn.
Yeah, so Zihao can go, what, chord for 2 here? Perhaps get a Strangleroot Geist, something like that. Untap, chord for the Yawgmoth.
I think there's the potential. That's 2 there, and then there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think if
So-
it's chord for Hapetra into play Zulaport Cutthroat plus chord for Yawgmoth in the same turn, I think the game may end at that stage of things. I can't say that unequivocally.
Yeah, but Zach, you also have to be thinking with the Karn, can look for some kind of disruptive element here, right?
Correct, and 15 cards to choose
Yeah.
from.
Kiihne does have, I believe, a Grafdigger's Cage in the sideboard. I'm not sure if that's listed here. Maybe he does not. I've seen lists with Grafdigger's Cage. Not so good against stopping Living End, but against this specific combo.
And I mean, it might be something as simple as just say I'm going to get a Pithing Needle.
Right.
Now, it looks like it's going to be Phyrexian Metamorph. That's the selection.
Interesting. Are we just copying a Bowmasters here? Shoot the Dryad Arbor potentially?
Copy this.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yep. Going to target the Arbor. So
All right.
Phyrexian Metamorph's going to come in. It's going to copy the Bowmasters, and of course, when Bowmasters enters the battlefield,
Yeah, and so we're gonna chord in response here.
indeed. So this will be for 2.
The intervention.
Let's see what this is going to be. So this is the power of this Yawgmoth deck, because it is a toolbox style of deck. We have seen over the course of Modern's history, most famously with Birthing Pod, of course, that players that have a lot of experience with a deck like this, that does have some one-ofs to search for, they do very, very well in spots like this. So it looks like it's going to be a Bowmasters in response.
And this 5.
Okay.
A government.
So getting aggressive here, just trying to win the game with some Bowmasters.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting. Basically,
Huh.
get your Bowmasters off the battlefield.
Sir?
I have Bowmasters. I can amass it a pretty meaningful way.
Right.
And also control your Karn a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Because I can bring it down to 1.
Right. So you can't use the minus ability to go fetch for, one of the big cards that you have in the sideboard here.
Now, there is always that fear that, okay, well, my opponent has access to 9 mana at the minimum
Right.
next turn.
It is not looking good here for
Not
G.
right now. Not
No,
right now.
Absolutely not.
This will be a chord for, it looks like it's going to be 2 again.
So is this another Bowmasters kill the 1/1 and then attack Karn for 4? Are we just on Bowmasters?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Bowmasters all day. Kill your
This
Karn.
is it. But I mean, now Kiihne just gets to untap and just slam in O-Stone and just destroy the entire board here.
Yeah, and
she just has to reset.
And if you're a Tron deck, this is exactly where you want to be
Right.
in this matchup.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit of a slower start here for Xi. You're going to see Kiihne start the turn off with an Ancient Stirrings. I like this play here from Zachary because you're going to make it so that you're working with very good information on how you want to take your turn.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's like pretty likely to O-Stone, but hey, I could find something better.
You're right. Let's make sure.
Right.
Let's just make sure that's what we want to do. So Kiihne's going to take an Urza's Tower. Remember, land has not been played yet for the turn, so it'll be another Ancient Stirrings here for Zachary. So take a look at the top 5, taking a colorless one with them. Chromatic Star among them, but he's just going to take more mana here with the Urza's Mana. Yep.
Yep, makes sense. O-Stone, will he crack it now? Yeah,
I
crack
think
it right away.
yeah.
Don't want to give Xi access to Port of Calling mana there.
Even though 2 have been played, for the best to just get these things off of the battlefield.
To continue playing, you're able to go to the
And now,
replay
I mean,
or the command
I
center.
just don't see how Xi can come back from that.
Well, how about that, Paul?
1-1, not so much.
What do you think about Zulaport Cutthroat?
It's important. It's a combo piece.
1 game 1.
That's right.
Certainly wasn't a Yawgmoth. It was
Not going to
Cutthroat.
get it done here, though.
Yeah, it's going to be a copy of the One Ring. Kiihne's going to activate that right away. We'll be working ourselves towards game 3 here in just a moment, folks, because Kiihne is a little bit of a runaway at this stage of things. Going to tap a whole bunch of mana, will Zachary, and now there'll be a card liberated. A card that has, weirdly enough, exited this deck in mass numbers.
Right. Yeah. Given the fact that the metagame shifted a bunch, people are actually choosing to play more Wormcoil engines and 8-drops instead of something like a Karn Liberated, because Wormcoil engine is a very, very powerful creature against the most popular deck in the format, which is, of course, the Rakdos Evoke deck.
Well, the Karn Father are going to get the job done that game. On to game number 3 between Xi and Kiihne. We do go. Winner of this match is going to be 7-0.
Natural.
Yeah.
That is some natural Tron here for Zach Kiihne. He did say the deck's easy.
He sure did.
So, I mean...
Prove him wrong.
Well, I can't.
We got some beatdowns on the other side of things, though. Strangleroot guys and a Yawgmoth coming in. Kiihne just going to pass the turn back. So, if you've ever played against Tron before, you know your opponent has Tron now.
Right.
They played a Sphere on 1. They didn't crack it for anything on 2. And didn't play a spell on 2. Which, it's good to know.
Right.
It's good to know that your opponent has the nuts. Now, how are you going to work through it? Now, to Zihao's credit, does have a Boseiju to break things up.
Yeah. And given the play pattern here, when you're keeping the 7, you know that there's likely Tron here. You probably do have to go for Boseiju.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Right?
You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice.
Like, just didn't crack, didn't play Sylvan Scrying, didn't play Ancient Stirrings. You're like, okay, he just has Tron.
Your opponent played face up.
Yeah.
Now it's just a matter of what's their payoff because
Right.
they've played the turn face up.
Yeah.
This will be a Warping Whale. That's going to exile target creature with power,
Which
or
is
toughness
nice.
1 or less.
Exile.
Yeah.
Very, very
getting
nice.
rid of the Strangleroot Geist there is very, very nice. Again, your goal against Yawgmoth is just to constrict their resources.
All right, Boseiju. Yes.
Now, Paul, would you kill the power plant or the mine in that spot?
Oh.
Which
See,
one? Which one are you?
You're asking the real questions here,
I-
the hard-hitting ones.
Got to make the most of my time here in the booth.
Yeah. Well, we know somebody prefers killing the mine here, as you can see that it's on the screen.
That's true.
I'm a power plant destroyer.
Okay, all right. So you're in Team Kiihne.
There you go. There you go.
Or, excuse me, Team G here. Gotcha. We'll head back over to Zachary now. He's picked up a copy of Ancient Stirrings to go along with the Sundering Titan, a Karn Liberated, a Talisman of Resilience, and another Stirring. So take a look at the top 5. Colorless card coming.
No Tron pieces there.
But a One Ring's not a bad consolation prize.
Definitely.
There's the tower.
And I think there was a Talisman. This is
There
the
sure is.
one of Talisman in their deck.
Okay.
They've mathed it out.
And there's a copy of Dismember.
And Ancient Stirrings. Okay, could still find the last piece here. Nope.
It's just going to be another copy of Urza's Mine. So mines and towers, no power plants.
So Xi made the right decision there, it looks like.
You betcha.
There you go.
We're going to head back Xi's way.
But not a whole lot of offense here.
No, the hand not particularly good either. You see Yawgmoth's come across here for 1. Wall of Root, Shieldred, and Grist the Hunger Tide in hand.
Yeah, so probably just going to run out the Grist here, probably, just to put that Planeswalker in play and just try to put some pressure on Kiihne's life total.
Well, this is interesting if you're supposed to play Grist or not this turn, because you can make an argument for playing Wall of Roots so that you can cast Shieldred next turn.
You could.
Also, Wall of Roots
Absolutely
with its mana generation and its convoking as well. If you were to pick up a copy of Chord.
Calling off the top. Okay, so he's going for the wall here instead. Kiihne does have a Dismember in hand for the Shieldred.
Yes. Now there's the mine, and now this.
It's One Ring time.
Yep, this will be the One Ring that was found off the Stirrings. Kiihne can activate that right away to draw a card.
Okay.
And Zihao says that's fine. Tower of Power, the draw here. Going to get a Talisman activation. And will it be time for maybe that Dismember? It will, and that'll take care of the Wall of Roots.
Okay. It's like, it's Kiihne just trying to identify, how can I lose this game?
Yep.
Right? It's like, I'm pretty far ahead, I feel, and it's with Court of Calling into maybe something like a Yawgmoth.
Force of Vigor, the draw.
Ooh, okay. Now that is a destroy effect, so it would not kill the One Ring.
That is correct. So it looks like we're going to go towards Grist now.
Yep.
Or at least G is thinking about it.
Well, he doesn't have any other play unless he's interested in using Force of Vigor to kill the Talisman, which seems like a weak line.
Seems like a low power play. So it'll be Grist, the Hunger Tide.
Hit some insects?
Nah, just a swamp this time around. So one insect going to join the fray, and Young Wolf will come and play. And no damage dealt. The One Ring, very powerful.
Yep.
We'll head Kiihne's way.
Yep. All right, can Kiihne find the Tron piece here? The missing Tron piece has 2 draws here.
I'm at 11, and then I paid a life.
So now it's 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these players are going to confirm life totals here really quickly. Looks like Kiihne's going to fall down to 10 life.
Right, because of course Kiihne took 4 from the Dismember.
Yeah. So a slight life total discrepancy that these players have worked out, and now here are the draws. A couple of Oblivion Stones.
Yeah, that's not quite it. Doesn't have another One Ring, so actually taking some damage, going down to 10.
Yeah.
Looks like Kiihne's going to take a look at the sideboard. Does have a copy of Karn the Great Creator. Let's actually make it 2 that are in the hand right now. Now remember, Zach hasn't played a land yet this turn, so assuming that a land does get played, and it's not another, it's not the missing Tron piece. Access to 6 mana this turn. -4 for the card means that it can search for something and play it for 2 or less right away.
Yep, absolutely.
And Kiihne does play a land right there. So now here's the Karn, here's the minus.
All right, so what does he fetch here?
It's gonna be
Okay,
coding.
just going to start killing some lands here.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I mean, Karn is safe next turn, right? It's going to take maybe 2 damage here. You can use the coding to kill a land in conjunction with the Karn that's in play.
And one thing you can also do here is you can shut down one of the permanents by making an artifact. So
Okay, it looks like it's just shutting down the Grist.
that's right.
Got it.
So Grist will become an artifact, and Karn is going to shut that down, at least while it's on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Now, Boseiju Who Endures is the draw. No real meaningful way to blow up Tron.
No.
Right, because there's 2 towers and 2 mines. So G can't keep Kiihne off of that anymore.
Yeah, but Shieldred's very good here, right?
Yes.
And Zach used the Dismember. So if you can run out the Shieldred, all of a sudden Kiihne's not going to be interested in activating that One Ring.
Yeah, the hope now for G is that as he brings this Karn down to 1, I play Shield. Oh, it's actually going to be Force of Vigor. I thought it was actually going to be Shieldred this turn. You're going to see Force of Vigor take care of the Talisman and the coding, and now Karn can't go active and search for something.
Right. So now, but Zach does get some draws here.
And drew an Expedition map.
With the One Ring.
Indeed.
Probably activating it first to see if he maybe just naturally can find Tron here.
Well, it's a little risky. It's a little risky.
It's 1 extra damage, right? It's just 1 extra damage that you're going to be taking.
Yeah. But now you go from 8 to 5. Shoulder hits the battlefield, then all of a sudden it's down to 3.
Right.
That sort of thing.
I mean, but it's a difference between going from 8 to 5 or 8 to 6, right?
Sure.
It's already got the 2 on it.
Yep. Now, again, remember that Kiihne did draw Expedition map this turn, so the ability to activate that.
Beat down Grist.
Map crack.
Yep. I'm going to do that.
Okay, and then has the ability to O-Stone and crack it,
It's a 4/4.
Okay.
or can just run out the Sundering Titan. So a lot of good options here for Zach.
Sphere, or O-Stone, crack O-Stone.
So it's going to be...
Okay.
So this is going to be O-Stone. Because this is an interesting little play here by Zach. So he's going to play O-Stone, blow this up, right?
Right.
Going to lose Karn.
Yeah, lose Karn, but everything else dies. The Yawgmoth comes back into play as a 2/2.
Correct.
And
And I think what might be most important here potentially is the fact that
Okay.
the One Ring is indestructible as a 4/4 right now. So it's
Right.
just a blocker. I don't think Kiihne has any interest in attacking. The longer the game goes, the better it is here for Zachary. So that's going to be his turn. He's going to pass the turn back.
Right. So you have a blocker in play. Did the Yawgmoth not come back?
It doesn't look like it.
Did it have a counter on it, or?
Not to my recollection. I'm not sure if that game state is correct or not, as Shieldred is going to be coming back.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
There's
All
going to be a
right.
Shieldred trigger here, so
Shieldred's
Kiihne's going to
still-
fall down to 6.
But Zach does have an answer now that he does have Tron. He can just go Karn, exile the Shieldred.
And that solves that problem.
I'm at
4.
4.
Although the One Ring does, it is kind of a
Minus
clock
hit might-
in of itself.
might crack,
Yep.
kill my own ring.
Yeah, so
And
it looks like
on
Kiihne's going to find a way to kill his own
Is he
ring.
going to go for like a Haywire Might and exile
Yep.
the One Ring?
Yep. Looks like going to draw some cards and then
Right.
exile.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Now up to 6.
Yep.
Has drawn a ton of cards, and yeah, I mean this is going to be it here for G.
And we'll make sure this game state is all cleaned up. There we go with the counters on both of the Karns, both now sitting at 3 loyalty. And now Kiihne will play a Chromatic Star and an Expedition Map. Might be G's last draw step of this particular
Yeah.
round.
This is going to be it for here for G and his undefeated run so far.
I'm going to sacrifice the Nurturing Peatland, Delighted Halfling, and a Verdant
Yep.
Catacombs, and that is going to do it. Zachary Kiihne going to win this game and match here over Zihao G. 2-1. Mono Green Tron is easy. Zachary was right. Anybody can do it, huh?
Well, yeah, one thing that I do want to talk about this Tron deck is, first of all, just it's extremely resilient, right? He got Boseiju, didn't matter, and the addition of the One Ring has just completely changed the way that this deck can play out now, right? You can survive. You have extra time, whereas before, if your opponents have some pressure and manage to disrupt your Tron land, all of a sudden you just have nothing you can do. But now you can go One Ring, dig deeper, you get to fog the one turn that you played a One Ring, and it just buys you so much more time, and it's just the perfect addition to this type of deck.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful card in this deck that generates so much colorless mana anyway. Buy you some time, draw you some cards, and then let you do some very explosive stuff with all of that mana. Good news, we got more Magic coming. Bad news, we got to take a short break before we get to it. But as you see the names on the screen, I think one of them is someone everybody likes to watch play Magic. It's Kai in the feature match right after this. Welcome back to beautiful Barcelona, where some folks are enjoying a wonderful Magic Con and we are enjoying a fantastic Pro Tour. We hope you are at home as well. Cedric Phillips, Paul Cheon, bringing you more of round number 7 of Pro Tour, The Lord of the Rings. More modern action on the way, and the German juggernaut has come to play. Rhinos. Back in his day, you couldn't make 10 power for 3 mana.
Oh, yeah. Creatures were a little weaker back then.
Just a little bit. Just a scotch. 11 top finishes for Kai.
That's a lot.
That is a whole bunch of those. 5 wins as well this weekend. You see Temur Rhinos going up against Rakdos Evoke, and people kind of late in the game, Paul, did elect to move towards Rhinos because from what we've been told, the Rakdos Evoke matchup is pretty good.
Yeah, I think kind of coming in, that was kind of one of the big reasons that Kai and his team chose to swap to the Rhinos deck. They expected an uptick in the Rakdos Evoke deck, and the Temur Rhinos deck matches up pretty well against that because you have access to cards like Subtlety, which is a great way to kind of fight potential turn 1 griefs from the opposing side, and also just if you can just top deck right any one of your 8 Cascade cards, all of a sudden the Rakdos Evoke deck just has a tough time dealing with all that power.
We'll be starting this one with game number 1. Marei Okamura on a 5-card hand, where Kai is on 7.
Yeah.
Now this Rakdos Evoke deck, it's been known to take a mulligan or two, but it is still very powerful in what it can do, even if it does have lesser cards to work with at the beginning.
Yeah. Might have a slightly different strategy, but similar to Tron, this is the type of deck that you want to mulligan very aggressively.
Yeah, so it looks like a Grief is going to kick things off here.
Now, does Kai have the subtlety here potentially to fight back?
Well, that is the question, and the answer is yes, he does. You see
a
force negation. Now there is the subtlety on the Grief, so looking to slow down Okamura. And now Okamura has a decision to make on where exactly to put this Grief.
Top or bottom? Looks like he has an Undying effect, however, doesn't have an extra black card to pitch to the Grief.
So it looks like that top card, that Grief, now it's going to be the bottom card. Now this will be a Fury removing Ragavan and
no cards.
And
no cards. All right, 4-4. Hope this gets it done.
Okay, well,
all right.
Fingers crossed like a boss. We're going to head back over to Kai.
Does Kai just have the Brazen Borrower for the win here?
We're going to find out. Now, that is a very large threat, is that Fury. It is going to be attacking for 8 points of damage here. That's as a 4-4 double strike.
Quite the mulligan here. Take 8.
Indeed. So Kai is going to fall down to 12.
Now, remember, Kai next turn can just go Violent Outburst, Shardless Agent, gone on the Fury here potentially. So a lot of great and very scary plays here on turn 3 for Kai.
Yeah, Kai has a bevy of answers. That's certainly one of them, which is generating Rhinos. You can, of course, cast the Gone, half of Dead Gone to just make Okamura pick up that Fury.
Just bounce it, and probably just going to be good enough there. So also Ice, although he probably would have used that on turn 2.
Sure.
Just to tap it down, buy some time.
But any Ice in this situation is welcome.
Oh,
right.
Absolutely.
Even if it were to show up right now, wouldn't mind tapping that down and drawing a card. So Okamura is going to think about things on this turn. Not a ton of decisions on our Rakdos Evoke player's side.
Right.
And
I mean, but if Kai just bounces this, Marei just has nothing.
And it looks like it may have just been a passing of the turn and no attack. So Kai's
playing around Outburst.
Yeah, playing around Outburst into Rhino. So Kai's going to sacrifice this Misty Rainforest.
Right. Probably just gonna fetch a basic here because, of course, the Rakdos Evoke deck typically plays 2 copies of Blood Moon.
It does indeed.
So if you can afford to start fetching some basics, you want to.
And Kai is going to play the Gone.
And there it is.
Yep. And aptly named. Going to return that Fury back to Okamura's hand. So has solved that problem, at least for right now.
All right, so Kai just now wants to find some way to get some Rhinos on the board. Give me one of those Cascade spells.
Well, that's the missing piece of the puzzle, excuse me. This will be a Thoughtseize, and we'll see if Kai has a response or not, because there is a Violent Outburst in hand. Also has access to a Mystical Dispute.
Could just choose to Mystical Dispute here, but it looks like Kai's just going, all right, I'm just going to put some Rhinos in play. You can just go ahead and take the Dispute if you want.
Well, not the best tapping of mana there from Kai with 2 blue and a Stomping Grounds, but it works all the same.
You are correct.
Yes, it does work all the same.
So Kai should have an island up instead.
Yes, indeed. But the crashing footfalls will resolve.
Can't do anything with a green mana anyways, I don't believe.
Indeed. So, the land cycle that wants to draw a couple of cards, it's getting a little bit popular here, is going to be the target, it looks like, of the Thoughtseize.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it actually looks like Lord Revealed is going to stay. Okay.
So Marei gonna really be looking for a Feign Death here, right? There is a Fury, and I believe the other card is a Seasoned Pyromancer. So if you can find a Feign Death or another Undying Effect here.
I can promise you that Dauthi Voidwalker is not what the doctor
Dauthi Voidwalker is not. This is simply just a way to get one of the Rhinos off the battlefield here.
Indeed, and now there is the Voidwalker.
Okay.
We're going to head back Kai's way. Kai will draw a card.
This is a 2-turn clock here. Marei's down to 4.
Yes, indeed. And now...
Draw 3?
Well, maybe not.
Okay, so what's Kai working with here? What is that last card then?
Yeah, Lauren Revealed is the... that's the one we know.
Is it a subtlety maybe?
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Feels like that's what it likely would be here. Kai just thinking, well, you know, Marei just has to find an answer. Does not have it.
Yeah, there is no answer to be found. So, Kai Budde is going to win game number 1 here. The Rhinos crashed on over. So we head to game number 2. And these games in this matchup, they are generally pretty quick. These decks are somewhat all-in by their nature. And now here's a Thoughtseize to attempt to slow Kai down. Charlotte's Agent, Violent Outburst, a handful of lands among the options here for Okamura to choose from.
Yeah, some redundancy built in here. So the Charlotte's Agent is typically, looking to get the Outburst instead. Charlotte's Agent does produce 1 extra permanent when you're trying to go for the Rhinos. And I'm trying to, is that a...
That's a Fires of Amor.
Okay.
A new one.
Flame of
Anor, excuse me.
Okay, so you can use that to just deal 5 damage. You can kill a creature.
Yeah, you know,
with the Undying Effect. I don't think there are any wizards, so you're not going to be able to get the ultra value there.
It's just kind of a value card, though, insofar as it has a bunch of modes.
Right, and at the same time, you really can't play anything that costs 2 or less.
Yeah,
in this deck, so
this is just, you know, a little spice that can sometimes be quite nice.
Yeah.
But players were saying they were playing that because Destroy Target Artifact takes care of Chalice of the Void.
Yep.
The 5 damage, of course, takes care of most creatures.
Right.
That could be problematic.
There's a 4/4 Fury in play.
Yep.
Helps there.
Could you
Oh,
imagine?
look at this, the old-fashioned way. The turn 1 suspend.
Times are tough.
Yeah, you do what you got to do.
It'll be a Ragavan now for Okamura. So we'll see if the very powerful monkey does live to get into the red zone.
Get some triggers here. We'll at least get 1 in, unless Kai's found a removal spell.
Yep, we'll have to see. As Kai's going to play a Wooded Foothills and simply pass the turn back. The Crashing Footfalls does fall down to 3 counters on suspend. So we head back Okamura's way for his 3rd turn of the game. The simple part is playing the land. So there's the Bloodstained Mire. Here comes the monkey, and it is through.
All right, so a treasure here for Marei. Can he find a playable spell?
The answer is yeah.
Yeah, but not really interested in using a dead on your own tokens.
Not the best.
Yeah.
Not the best
All right.
reveal we've ever
Still
seen.
got you a treasure. Could maybe cast the Grief now if he has one.
Looks like it's time for another Thoughtseize. So
Okay.
not a ton. Well, I was going to say not much has changed,
He's
but
like,
that's
I
not
got your
true.
Cascade spell. You got another one.
That's right. Another Violent Outburst has been found here by Kai, alongside that Charlotte's Agent and those lands that we saw before.
Yeah, you saw the exasperation there. You heard the exasperation, rather, from Marei. All right.
Well, if you're gonna take
the instant speed 4/4s.
And that lines up. You take Outburst the first time, might have some interest in taking Outburst the second time. These players will make sure their life totals are appropriate.
Does make you take some damage.
That'd be a little too good if it wasn't.
Oh my goodness! Just
I can't imagine. So don't ask.
just black take anything.
Don't ask.
Pretty good magic card.
Yeah, they're going to square up here real quick. It looks like 2, 4, 5. I believe that Okamura should be at 15, but they'll confirm here in just a moment.
Yeah.
2 Thoughtseizes and a fetch. Speaking of fetches, Pluto Delta might be headed towards the graveyard. Okamura is going to think things through, and there's a Kroxa in hand that Okamura is thinking
we're
about.
getting close then, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, there's already 4 cards in the graveyard here.
Yep.
Unless that was a Culligan's command.
It looks like it's going to be fetch plus shock. So down to 12 goes Okamura. It's going to be a Blood Crypt to go alongside that Black Cleave Cliffs and a Swamp.
A lot of damage here. Kai has dealt 0 damage to Marei.
And there's
All right,
Kroxa.
there is the Kroxa. So what if Kai discards a land, he will take 3 damage.
Mm-hmm. So a bit of an interesting decision here for the German Juggernaut. It looks like Visage's going to bite the dust.
Okay, yeah. With the Flame of Nora, you do have the answer for a potential Chalice of the Void.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works.
Right.
Kai wants to confirm exactly how Kroxa does work, and as Paul did mention, when a land is discarded, the opponent takes 3. When a non-land card is discarded,
You lose nothing.
you lose nothing but a
If you
real
have-
card.
Right, exactly. So if they have no cards in hand, I believe they also take.
That is correct. So these players will make sure that they know exactly how these cards work. And now here's a copy of Feign Death. Okay, so
Okay.
we're getting cute. We are getting adorable.
Get another card, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So
Not going to really stop
you can't stop the Rhino
Kai
generation.
from doing the Rhino thing here, and I'm not sure how Marei's going to fight through it, to be honest.
Well, the good news here is by casting the Feign Death on that particular
so
turn,
he needs to find one
it needs
more
to,
card.
we just need to draw land.
Just
Right? Because
Yep,
now
yep.
you have 5
You're
cards
right.
in the graveyard, access to 3
Absolutely.
mana. You've got double red, and presumably whatever land you draw is going to allow you to cast a Kroxa 6/6 standing tall against the 4/4s. You know, then things go how they go.
They do, and I mean, if Kai can just withstand that, does have the footfalls on 3.
And now Kai absolutely does have the ability to swarm around it, as this Crashing Footfalls
Yeah.
is going to lose the suspend counter.
All right.
There's the Mr. Rainforest we've seen for a
imagine
while.
Can you imagine just Kai passes? It's just another violent outburst.
I've seen
Stop.
stranger things.
Maybe a basic here.
Yeah, keeping
Keep-
Blood Moon in mind, I think,
Right.
is always pretty smart if you can.
And also your life total with the Croaks in the yard.
Very true.
Right?
Very true. So there's your basic island off the Misty. Kyle shuffle and present, and then we will see some cascading here in just a moment, folks. 2 Rhinos are going to
Time.
join the fray.
All right. 10 power.
Yep.
10 power in play against a Ragavan and potentially a Kroxa, depending on what Marei has in hand. Rhino.
Well, eventually we'll get there. Those footfalls will be
It's
crashed into.
Gonna happen.
There we
There
go.
it is. Thumbs up. Doing a little research here.
Yep.
See what you got working.
Good to go. These cards will be shuffled here to head towards the bottom on the cascade. Pardon me.
Yeah.
And that'll be Kai's turn.
And it won't take much for Kai to be able to finish off Marei here. Marei's dealt 8 damage to himself with all the Thoughtseizes and fetches.
Now Marei does have 1 card in hand. It could be that land already, but let's see what this
But
draw step is
really,
gonna be.
really does need to find a land here to escape.
And it was a
Oh,
Thoughtseize. Looks like
no
maybe
land.
looks like the other card may be a Terminate here. So does have
Okay.
have
Oh,
1
man.
solved.
That was a violent outburst as well. By the way, if you don't block, that's lethal.
Yeah, that's true.
13 damage.
That is true. Now there is a Terminate.
Okay. I mean, might as well just cast it here, right?
Yeah,
Get in for some more
Yep,
damage.
get your extra damage here.
All of the Rhinos here. More Rhinos coming in next turn as well.
And this is what people really do enjoy about this deck is the reason that you're pretty good against Evoke is a couple of Thoughtseizes have been cast this game. A Kroxa has
Right.
been cast this game. And Kai's hand has been shredded apart.
Right.
And his draw steps have yielded the appropriate things. Can't stop the top of the deck.
Right, absolutely. And now we're looking at 14 power on the board. Followed by 6 more. Next turn, 20.
Yep. When I've had the opportunity to speak to the Rhinos players here this weekend, when they found out that Evoke was a very large part of the metagame, they were thrilled about it.
Very happy?
They were very, very happy.
Very happy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And understandably so.
Makes a lot of sense.
And that is going to do it. Budde is going to win this game and match. Clean sweep, 2-0. The German Juggernaut using some Rhinos to kind of tally up the resume here on day number 1 from Barcelona.
I know. Could he add potentially another top finish?
I think that would be number
to
12.
Impressive. By the way, 11
Yeah.
top finishes, 7 wins. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. He converts.
He does. He does. So as we make our way through these rounds of Modern, you and I are done today. Of course, we'll have Corey and Riley and Luther take us home here on day number 1. What stands out to you from Modern?
Well, the fact that the players who kind of came with a good plan, I think, against the Evoke decks were really successful.
Yep.
And you saw that here with the Rhino strategy. And the Rhino strategy just might be the deck of today. We just saw anytime a Rhinos deck go against somebody else, they found ways to kind of get in and you know, come out ahead, right?
Yeah.
When you saw the Rhinos that go against the various 4-color Omnath decks, you would think on paper, well, the Omnath deck seems to do a better job of grinding through everything, but they still found ways to beat all the decks. So it could be one of those things where Rhinos is kind of the deck to be coming in. And they only got a small addition, but a very important one. That's the 4 copies of Lorien Revealed, because that allows you to have gas in the late game. You can use it to draw cards, but more importantly, you can cut lands and play and have additional blue cards to play all of your free spells.
For your subtleties and your force of negations.
Right.
2 cards that have been very popular and powerful this weekend. We're taking a break. Paul and I are done for the day. It'll be Riley Knight and Corey Baumeister to take you home. But before you get to them, you're hanging out with Maria and Monty at the news desk.